So, hey folks, this is me, Vishwas Narayan. I'm the host of this podcast, and I think cybersecurity was never the vital role that just played in every organization, but like today, I feel it's been advocated in a way that every organization needs to take care about. Like there is always that one little secret that will always be out from an organization. It could be the form of environment, repository, or else the organization secrets. We don't know that. But trust me, there are always a reason that why we need security in our own environment, because a lot of times a simple move can really change the phase at which the development is happening and everything. So right now I'm with Jayshree, an amazing cyber community expert. And trust me, it's not about being young in this world of cyberspace, but it's also about like how much is your dedication towards keeping your organization safe. And right now, I think thank you, Jayshree, for being on my podcast. Means a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. No, let's just address the fact that what is happening in the world of cyberspace. Like, everybody want to really understand, okay, this is what is happening. So what is that win-win cyber culture that everybody wants to approach today? And what is it all about when we are advocating cyberspace to the world, which is which was reluctant once upon a time and said cybersecurity is not to everybody, but today everybody wants to do that. So what is it all about today when you consider the world of cyberspace, DevSecops, and whatever it is?
Okay, so like before going to the cyberspace, let me tell you my journey, like how I have started with this cybersecurity part. Actually, I was very introvert and was not having any experience in any field or anything, and I was just in this lockdown. I just came through some news regarding data breaches and like company having their data lost and other cyber attacks. So then I just this thing just got stuck in my mind, and I just want to like go into deep dive these things, like what is all about, how it happens, what's going on in the world. So I just explored this field, the cybersecurity field. So like cyberspace is all about like we are connected with each other, like how we are connected over a network. So basically cyberspace is secure also, and it's insecure as well, because we are connected with each other. It's a good point, but there are several other points that are also included, like some of our people take advantage of this fact that we are connected with each other, so we can use misuse the data from a person or from a company and like defame them. So like using a cyberspace and having it is very important, but the way we are using it, so it all depends on that.
Now, what do you think about organization culture today? Like everybody wants to advocate the fact that they are secure and they are not vulnerable. But at the end of the day, it's all just a piece of code which just moves in the same old pipelines and things like that. So, what should be the organization's perspective towards the cyberspace? Because over a course of time, there is always that dedicated move that cyber researchers do in any form. Like it can be attacking their own surface, which is like, okay, there is cloud IPs which is there, and what can we do with it? And over a course of time, I have seen a lot of vulnerabilities coming up in YAML space. Your YAML file is much more vulnerable than what you think. So what should be the organization culture today in order to perceive the cyberspace?
Okay, so talking about the cyber culture. So, like, first of all, when we say the word cyber, so like, first thing that came in our mind is hacking or security, like two words. So, but the ratio for this is 3:2. Like, in some people's mind, it came for the hacking part only. And for the other who have the knowledge regarding this, they can think of the security part as well. So like coming towards the like vulnerabilities, so we could say that there it all depends on the way we are using. Like organizations having their name, they have their data, but the hacker more looks at their data and just to defame any organization, just to defame any company. So that's all depend on the user, on the resources, on the utilities that a company have. So adapting a new culture will also enhance the organization, like they can protect their data, or they can trust the third party vendors for their protection. Like some companies might use third party vendors, like nowadays we have some cyber organizations, those work on like providing resources, secure place to store our data. So we can so the organization can trust on them for their safety purpose. So it's all about that vulnerabilities depend on from a user to user and from organization to organization.
Like, what should be your top security priority? Because now it's not about CV being raised in Linux and you're now trying to change the way in which you are using Linux. It's all about like, how can you go and do the same old sudo app get update and upgrade in your production, right? It's like, as soon as you do that, if you have the guts, just go and do that. Like, that's what the way in which we are prioritizing our security and the way in which the open source is coming up. So what should be the top security as a priority? Like what should be our consideration when we are adapting for a new organization culture? Like something like, let me just say, okay, I go from one institution to the other, and there is a new culture which is already there. So now adapting to that culture, adapting to that their needs is going to be a problem. So what is it all about when you're adapting for a new cyber culture that is going and in as a transition in your career itself?
Okay, so for any company, the most important aspect, or we could say that most important thing, is the data, because data is a asset for a company. Like if we are if a organization is losing the data, that means they are losing the reach of the people. So data is our most priority of any company or any organization. But likewise, data breaches are increasing just to destroy the company's name and their fame. So it's very important to go and save our data, because for an organization its data is very important. So their approach, like their way of handling their data, like what resources they are using for that, and like what policies they have to store their data, like which team is handling the data from, what are the resources where they are taking the data from. So it all depends on the organization. Like an organization should have a proper approach and proper teams, so that they could manage everything, so that so that the people from their own organization at least would not make this happen. Like they would not help the data breachers or like attackers in this situation. So this is a very important aspect. And coming to the other aspect, so like company can also adapt some like culture, like some more security. They can introduce some breakpoints, and they can check the vulnerabilities before keeping their data at a particular place. So nowadays we have third party vendors, so they are offering various facilities to storing the data, like for storing the particular data that contains some log files, like some encrypted messages, or like encrypted and official documents that may be used by the government. So for that we can have some trusted vendors, so that the data should not be leaked, or they are responsible for that. So I think that's very important to have.
It's all about that attitude. It's all
Yeah.
about that attitude. Like, how are you perceiving the chaos? It's like you are at stake now, but like, what will be your next future move? And that perception of that chaos probably is going to mold your way in the cyberspace. It's like, it's not about me advocating cyberspace all of the sudden. It's not that, not DevSecops. We still did black box testing in machine learning. We still did a lot of things. So what do you think should be the perception towards the chaos and the new system breakage, the new system vulnerabilities that we are finding today? Because a lot of times when I feel when there is a CVE rise, like I just say you one thing, in one of the MLOps platform, we just made sure that the risk goes down. So what we did was we went to a low priority risk and we started scanning it. And there is always a need for us to reach out to, like, where can we get the help from. So that this is where I'm asking you for the help for the perception towards the chaos. So what should be the perception towards a new system vulnerability, a new system breakage that is going to happen, and what should organization tend to learn from it? I know you are still young to address that fact, but like, what is it all about when you are thinking about such kind of an issue which already got raised up in an environment which you are part of?
Okay, so like I would say that perception is all about the right attitude. Like it depends on implementing our learning. Like a white hat hacker and a black hat hacker both have the same knowledge. They have learned from the same platform, from the same resources, but the way they are using their knowledge is all about their attitude and their mindset. So like a black hat hacker is using the same knowledge to destroy the government, to destroy the people, their information, to misuse their information. But a white hat hacker is using their knowledge for protecting them, for defending the black hat hackers. So it's all about the mindset and the learning that we are using in the right direction. So like perception, if we could say that perception is all same for both, like, but it all depends on the mindset. Now coming towards like how they can help, like for people who got attacked by some like hacker. So like how they can approach. So there we have various organization, we have several government like staff members, we have their own website where we can register our complaint, and there are several like private organizations as well. And nowadays we have a cyber cell also that plays a very important role in providing like help to the people, to all the victims.
I always say this, navigate through your institution, learn from your culture, always make sure that you have an organized logs, because to me, I always say to myself that I'm the most laziest guy when it comes to, okay, reaching out to people. I'm so lazy, when it's always that thing that always comes in me. But to me, when I look at, okay, this is my organization and this is my purpose in the organization, I feel like it's an extra kind of an responsibility that you have, but you still have that hat to wear, that yes, this code is going to be pushed to that repository and it's going to be taken care. So now when I think of upskilling people, it's all about, like, you saw that there was a need during the lockdown and the pandemic, like, hey, companies are now facing this, and let's just address the fact that, okay, how can I be and part of this journey and things like that. Navigating and bridging the gaps between a developer and an advocate team which is working towards the cyberspace, what should be the approach for an organization? Because to me, I feel that too much of an empowerment through an education is always going to be a sort of a chaos, because like you will not have that time to even deliver the deliverables, right? Like you need to have that insight that, hey, this is what I should be working. So what is it all about when you're thinking about bridging the gap between a developer and at a team which is advocating cyberspace, and also bringing that culture indulged in all the environments? Like dev environments need to know what is cyberspace, testing team needs to know what is cyberspace. So what is it all about when we are educating teams of different portfolios?
Okay, so like firstly talking about the gap. So the gap is all about the extent an attacker can go to. So like for a company or for an organization, like if they want to approach for any attack, so like they have to go to the root of that attack, like from where gate, which gate the attacker has attacker has attacked the website, or like attacked the organization's data. So that's very important, to go to the root of any attack, and to introduce some breakpoints so that the so that it could not be repeated again. And like they can also block that gates so that any attacker could not approach to it. Like we can learn from the different companies that are already breached. So we can go to our website and we can go to our data so that we can check that whether this could not be happened with us, like with our organization. So that's very important to have the knowledge regarding this, and to make aware our teams and our other development members, developers, to have the knowledge of the like all the points like that could be like missed during creating any software or any website. So that must be considered. And like the it's completely different to have a developer to have the knowledge of the cybersecurity, because it's very difficult to have an idea of an attacker, like how they can attack, because it's very difficult, because they are exploring and exploring and then just attacking. So we don't know, because we don't know in prior that from where we get attacked. So like having a particular knowledge is difficult, but like prevention is better than cure always. So like we can introduce some points, like some break points, and taking care of some measures, so it will help help any organization or people to be care of. Like we could create some awareness also among the people so that they could not be fraud.
So yeah, it's all about that human element that we are talking right now. So right now it's like human is the worst link right now. And now it's like, I see a lot of reports on different attacks, and I feel that, human has been that vulnerable entity inside. It's not that software which was vulnerable. Anybody can do a phishing. Like today, it's like so easy. Just get an ngrok server done on your system. You are good enough to be phishing somebody else. And you can mask it, by the way. You can really mask those URL, by the way, and you can start working towards it. So now, what is that human element that needs to be taken care of when we are thinking about the cyberspace? What is it all about when you are considering, okay, this is what we are supposed to be addressing in an organization with respect to any human link in an organization culture, which is dev, test team, anybody?
Uh, as you know that the human is the most important element of any system structure, if we could consider. So like, and talking about the resilient system structure, so nowadays a human is dependable on any particular resource to approach or any problem. Like we are dependent on each other for any problem. But though we have introduced the AI, artificial intelligence, so we are creating an intelligence that we are not dependent on. Like that machine is more dependent on the human. But again, the human is the only reason for creating the every chaos. So like we can't neglect that part, that human is the one who is creating the chaos, because we have introduced the artificial intelligence that is taking the place of the human for all the resources and in every field almost. But human is the only part who is creating the chaos and who is creating the artificial intelligence as well. So like for example, if we take an example of any company, so like we have a human who is working in the data part of any company. Like they are working in a data security part. So that particular person is responsible for maintaining all the stuff and for managing all the data. But that person got in contact with any other company or with an attacker, we could say, and that person is helping that attacker in leaking the information from a particular company. So like who's responsible for a company breach? So the person who is working in the company itself is responsible for creating that breach, not that hacker. Like because hacker is taking the help of that particular person. So like person is a bridge between the hacker and the company. So like a human plays very important role. So like the way we are we are helping in the hackers by just by ignoring ourselves, by ignoring, like we are just posting everything on social media, so we are helping the hackers. Like we sometimes our cards are placed on the our table, and we just click a photo of any food or anything and just post it on social media, so that card details will be taken by the hacker, and then hacker will hack our account or take money from our bank. So who is responsible for this? Only we are responsible for this. So human element is very, very important. So the way we are behaving, the way we are dealing with anything is very important. So like people should understand like how the responsible they should be. and how they aware of all the situation and all the working areas in the way they are working, and how they are going in the wrong direction. So that's very important.
So, we talk a lot about attack surfaces. Attack surface is something which is very close to us. Like, we just will be waiting for that. Who will get hit by our Metasploit payload? Like that's a basic one. That's the basic one. Anybody can do that, by the way. You know, it's all that. So now an attack surface and a system architecture. Today, I feel that software has defined networking, software has defined the way we access data centers, software has defined the way and hardware has to behave. Because it can be the world's greatest hardware, but if it doesn't have the required drivers, required software which is running it, I think probably it's a piece of silicon which just has no value to it. So what is it like? You know that like VXLAN, STT, GRE, all these tunneling has been improvised, and there's always an way in which we are advocating towards like secure network as well. So it's not about zero secrets, zero trust, it's also zero network vulnerable. So we are now moving towards that. After we saw that there was a physical layer outage this year, like not this year, last year, 2021. So what is it all about when you consider an attack surface? Because a lot of the definition of system architecture today is based on the software. Like it's still the same old GPUs, CPUs, or the TPUs, which will be working on some institution, but like it's all about that software which we are defining. So what is it all about when you think of an attack surface today?
See, according to me, the attack surface is the number of all the possible points, or we could say that all the attack vectors, like where an unauthorized attacker or a user can access the data or extract the data or can do any attack. So the smaller the attack surface is, the more easier it is to protect. When we go to the some complex structure, like we have some like system structure where we have several layers, then it's very difficult to find that attack surface, like particular point that where the attack has been made. So, like, basically, there are two types of attack surfaces. We have digital attack surfaces and physical attack surfaces. So, digital attack surfaces includes our hardwares as well as softwares, like apps, server, ports, or etc. etc. But we going to the physical part. Then, in physical, we have our PC, monitor, our pen drive, or anything. Like if anyone can use our pen drive, so they can create any attack, like they can introduce some virus in that, so it could be a cause of any attack. So to protect the physical attack services, we should have to be very careful with our devices, with our gadgets. And for digital, we are having some resources, we can take some preventive measures, we can have antivirus, we can contact some organization. So that's all about the attack surfaces.
What do you feel about the future of the infosec space that we are talking about? Like information security and also cyber security is something good. Like there is always that one way, like operations come into the picture. So there is an operation security as well. So a lot of things are coming up. So what is it all about when we are advocating DevSecops, cyberspace to the world that doesn't know anything about all these things? So how should an person who is advocating this reach out to people in an institution? Because to me, I feel that you can deliver something to a person who has 20 years of experience and say them, hey, this is what is required, and he might be able to do that, but not the level of expertise is considered. But to me, like everybody is a disruptive leader in the industry, because that's what it's all about. So what is it all about when we are now moving towards an adaptable culture that we need to pioneer? But like what should be our right move that we need to do today? Because a lot of times we just juggle around with this and that. So what is it the future of the infosec world? And probably you can start your journey as well. Like what tools did you start with and what all did you start learning towards?
Okay, so see, our security is in our own hands only. So, like, first of all, we should be careful about the things that we are sharing on our social media, the softwares we are using, the files we are downloading, and like, we should never share our important passwords, documents, or anything with anyone. Like, as we could say that by increasing the hunger, technology, and all the expertise, the hacking is also increasing. So, but on the other hand, if we could see the cybersecurity part, or we could say about the cyberspace, so we are also having the raising communities and raising hands to stop this as well. So, like, and we have a secure future with the advancement of the cybersecurity. Like, if we go to the cybersecurity part, the organization that are helping us, and like the security that people are aware of is also very important. Like people could also support this cyber security by awareing others as well, and by just be careful of any of the fraud that are going to happen and that are happening with the people. And talking about my journey, like first of all, a person to be in the field of cybersecurity should be aware of all the stuff that that could be a person could be fraud of. So like we just have a all the awareness, and we should create the awareness. So awareness is the first point for the cybersecurity. Now starting with the cybersecurity, so like learning attack doesn't mean that you are using it for your like personal benefit, and you are attacking, like you are just learning a wi-fi hacking, and you are hacking the wi-fi of your neighbor. So like it's just for your protection, so that you could know that that someone is attacking with your wi-fi password, and someone is like reaching your data, and like someone is someone has installed any other application in your like computer. So you could be aware of it. So like you should have a basic knowledge for the cybersecurity, so that you could be more aware about it. So like talking about the cybersecurity, is the first tool that we should learn is about Linux. All the like basic stuff about the Linux is the best and secure software for it. And we can use other softwares, like for phishing we can use black eye, and there are many softwares that we could use, and like many github repositories and like tools and other things. So we should use that also.
Yeah, start with network reconnaissance. Like that's the best way to learn anything. Like you get a chance to witness, okay, this is what goes behind everything that you are advocating towards. Like it's all network at the end of the day. Somebody connected the computer to a network, and somebody knows that, hey, through an IP, we can have an access to a computer, and everybody went behind that. And that was the beginning of the cloud compute. And I think EC2 rocks the world, can't help that. So now, perfect. So now what is your experience when you heard about the DevOps culture? And now what do you feel about it when the world is moving towards what is in CD, what is in CDSS? So what is it all about today when you heard about the team of people talking DevOps this, DevOps that? Because I started this DevOps chat series because I wanted to realize like, hey, this is what world can offer you with when you really consider, hey, how can we automate this? How can we automate that? Automated governance, automated security, security as code. Man, there's a lot. So there has been a lot of advocacy which is happening with cyberspace and the DevOps. So what was your first experience when you heard people talking DevOps this and DevOps that? Because a lot of times DevOps is a missing piece of puzzle in an institution. And lately they have realized, okay, every institution needs to have a culture that's DevOps. So what is your thoughts about when you heard that team full of developers, team full of leaders talking DevOps?
Okay, so according to me, DevOps is a combination of the cultural philosophies, practices, and the tools that increasing an organization's ability to deliver any application or like services. So, like DevOps is just important aspect of any organization. We could say like every organization is having an ability to deliver any application. especially all the software companies. So like they should consider it as a very important aspect of their company. And like before delivering any application, like an organization need to check it against the CVE, that is our like common vulnerabilities exposure. And like we should have a proper checklist, we could say, or we could have a proper information about a particular application that a company is like delivering to any other, like any other people or like any other organization. So it must have a proper CVSS, like that is our common vulnerability scoring system. And like we could give some points, or like we can prepare a proper checklist for that, so that the person who is getting that application should have a proper knowledge. And like if it's not in, if it's the like if there are some more points that should be added to be delivered, so that it could be like it could be replaced, and like it could be like it could add more preventive measures to that, to any particular application. So like it's very important to to have a CVSS and to have a CVE before like before delivering any application. So it's very important aspect of any organization.
Yeah, it's all about that. We all have to know what lies ahead, because that's the strategy that you're going to put in. Because, of course, we know that Apache Struts was there. Now we have Apache Lab4j vulnerability. And over a course of time, I don't think so. We will be reluctant to the fact that it's going to be vulnerable. It's not Apache Struts vulnerability which got into the trouble. It's all about like how did people perceive that. And there was a beginning of DevSecops. And I wanted to ask you this question because like a lot of times when organizations plan for this, they don't plan for the security. Like that's what I feel about. Because when I see an ML ops world which is revolving around how can we deliver an ML product, I'm like, do you really know that your H5 file is secure today, or else what is it all about when you're building that entire infrastructure? Because I have built servers and compute server which uses for the deep learning task, and over a course of time this is what I feel about. So what is it all about when industry needs to pursue tech, and also they have a reason to just move towards that journey of like getting to know what can happen to their entire system architecture? Because over a course of time I feel that there is always a need for you to induce that chaos, and you need to like it's always that like Netflix has opened its production for everybody, and it was practically zero that they have their production down because of some stupid reasons. And so what is it all about when you're perceiving chaos in that fashion? Because a lot of times it's not just that tools that you fiddle around with, it's all about like how is your entire architecture built towards, like is there a proper CDN going and making that security coming through? And the DDoS is the king today. Like DDoS was actually considered to be a flawed one, but people still use it to attack some surfaces. So what is it all about when organization needs to strategize chaos, and how do they need to perceive it? Because a lot of times sometimes actually thinking about chaos has actually built a lot of great culture in the DevSecOps. So what is your thought about an organization perception towards how they need to build a DevSecOps world?
Okay, so like what lies ahead is a very common phrase for everyone. Like everyone used to say it, and but on reach for the future, and one organization should focus on the current scenario as well. Like for every organization, data and information is very important, and same as its security. So like every organization could access that what flows that their companies have, what flows their companies having, and like what flows are there in their teams, and all that part. Okay, so like when accessing the impact from any single threat, so like two factors that must be considered are like likelihood, and like how probable an attack to a company is, like how frequent that attack is. So like if we are talking about the threats, so like all threats should be evaluated in this manner, like on a case by case scenario, like on a case by case basis. And every organization should have their proper policies and like governance team to avoid like any type of chaos that we are having, or like if an attacker is the from itself from the organization, that they should have a proper team, a proper governance should be there, so that it could handle the every situation and every chaos that a company is facing.
Last question from my side. Like, what's your thoughts about the present day's hustle that we need to put in it when we are entering the cyberspace? Because you entered it late, but you achieved pretty much good, because it's not about like getting inside and hacking that system. It's also about like how do you keep yourself updated. Like to me, I keep myself updated by research papers. I keep updated myself by reading the documentation. But what is it all about when you are entering the field of DevSecops is a cliche, but like I would say cyberspace. So what is your thought when somebody wants to enter the world of cyberspace? What should be their ultimate prerequisite in order to be sustainable and to feel that longevity in that entire journey? Because that's what we require today, because we are not supposed to fiddle around with a lot of tech, but we need to adapt. So what is it all about when you are thinking about longevity in this space of cybersecurity?
Okay, so like before entering this field of cybersecurity, the one should have that enthusiasm, or we could say that just of not harming everyone, and just to have to go in the field of defending part as well. Like we just jump in the field of cybersecurity or hacking, ethical hacking, and we just started with the right path, and we just go in deep diving, and we just think that yaar maza nahi aa raha hai, so we just could switch to some hacking part. So like it's not good to have for like our entertainment, or for like just like misusing any other's information. So like it's all about to have a particular standard for this, and you should have a proper like deterministic path for this, and you should have a focus on the part that on which part you are approaching to. Like you can go to bug bounty, like finding a bug and helping the companies is also very good. You can go to some defending parts as well. You can go to some like cyber police, in the field of cyber police, and you can help them as well. Like you can join DRDO as well. So like it's all about the thinking and the mindset, the way you are approaching to any problem and to any path. Now coming for any organization, like we have a like standards, like cybersecurity standards. So basically the cybersecurity standards are the collection of the best practices that are created by the experts. So like for every cyber threat, it will help the all the cybersecurity posture for a company to remove all the cyber threats, and to get rid from the cyber threats if they are frequently occurring at your company. So like these cybersecurity frameworks are generally applicable to all the organizations, because they must have their proper policies, they must have their proper governance team, so that they could guide them in the right direction. Like for an example, an organization is not having any idea about this cybersecurity field, and an organization is just got attacked by any data breacher or by any attacker. Now they are thinking, what to approach and whom to approach. So they in prior they must have a proper governance team and a proper policies and their cyber team, so that they could guide and they can prevent their data in prior. So it's very important to have a like cyber team, or we could say a governance team, so that an organization should not face any problem in afterwards.
That's true. That's true. I think thank you so much for being part of this DevOps chat series. And also, it's all about that. So, how do you approach it? It all belongs to you. So, you make the decision, you make the rules, and you rule the world. So, that's your world. And thank you so much, Jayshree, for being on this DevOps chat show. It means a lot.
Thank you so much for inviting me.